Joining us in the studio for an analysis of the President's announcement is Dr. Hoze Riruako. Very good evening to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Let me start my line of inquiry with perhaps asking your overall impression of the adjustments.
I think I'm very much impressed. For too long we've been talking about some of these ministries, and we said that many of these ministries could easily, serve as department, and that will reduce, the overhead cost, all these top-heavy, structure that we have seen in many of these ministries. They can be run. I mean, remember some of the parastatal like NAMPower, NAMWater, and so on. These were just departments within given ministries, and I think given the tough time that we are going through, as a country and also the rest of the world. It's high time that we cut where we need to cut and reduce and merge where we need to merge. And I think you saw it also even by the public. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those moves that the president acted, and they have the whole society. I mean, look at the sheer number of those responded, and they followed suit. My impression is the fact that some of the activities like poverty, for instance, this is a cross-cutting activities. It cut through different ministries. Take gender and gender mainstreaming, for instance. Again, it's something that also cut through a number of ministries, and I think it was very wise to bring it much closer to the president, to give it due attention, but at the same time just to provide the coordination that is needed. To go or meander through the different ministries. But I think also there are some ministries that, in my opinion, also could be in the future be looked at, such as the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and even the youth. We know that the youth are the one that are affected by the high unemployment rate and some of the scourge of the problem that we are facing. But this can be run easily as a department.
Dr. Riruako, you made mention of the tough times that we've been going through, but we know these tough times didn't just come overnight. It's something that we have known for quite some time, and perhaps there's some people who are saying, but why only now? We've been saying that why do you need extra ministries? Why now? What do you make rather of the timing?
I think in life anything reach a certain degree of climax. Something will build up until you come to a point where you really need to do something. I think we know that by independence, two factors were at play. We took everybody in the previous administration, and then on top of that, we put the new, administration that came with the new government. And the result of that was a bloated government that was not necessarily too effective. But now, mind you, it would have been very improper to reduce the public service at the time, given the unemployment rate that was, fluctuating. A few years back it was higher, went down a little bit, and now it's also a bit higher. So I think, and one of the problems, especially now when we are having a problem in lashing our revenue base, one want to reduce, the huge wage bill that we are facing. And I mentioned this time before, and many analysts also have mentioned that it will be very unpopular for any government, let alone for any president, to reduce the workforce just at one go, given the economic tough time and the high unemployment rate out there. But by merging some of these ministries, it will create now a golden opportunity to reposition some of these employees. Now, you remember when we come to about 2016 there around, many government positions, new positions were frozen. Now you can take some of these people and redeploy in those positions. I mean, the president mentioned that the people who are closer to retirement, they can be given a golden handshake, as to leave early.
So in other words, you see tangible improvements going forward?
Well, what I would want to see, the changing of the ministry is one thing, but I would want to wait until the 21st. I want to see the type of ministers that the president put in place. And yes.
And that brings me to my next question. The new cabinet will be made known to us in due course, of course. Yeah. And in your opinion, will we see new faces on the scene, or will it be a case of the same or the new script with the same old actors?
Well, it depends on how the president would want to approach this. If I was the president, if I was sitting in his chair, remember 5 years back, he came with a blueprint. He came up with a roadmap, how he wanted to improve the administration of this country, making sure that things are done in a most transparent and an efficient way, and making sure that everybody is given a fair chance in getting his or her share of the pie. And the whole idea around, the Namibian House and the Harambee, this is his legacy. That is the roadmap that he wants. But now, my question is, do you have the right people with the requisite skills and knowledge to make sure that the president attain and achieve this very, very ambitious dream that he put forth? So I think that brings us to your answer to your question. If the president really wants to see success on the plan that he set forth, he owes it to himself to make sure that the people who he put in place are professional technocrats, people who have the vested requisite experience and qualification to make sure that he lives up to his own expectation. Now, I think many presidents in the first term around the globe will always try to play safe, make sure that he or she is elected the next time around. Yeah. The second term, this is when you do damage. This is where you lay down your strategy. This is when you do those things that are closer to your heart. So I think the president, you will see some of these old faces, but I suspect that there could be new professionals that you see, people who are not necessarily coming from the political parties.
Dr. Riruako, thank you so much for your time. And I think, like yourself, many Namibians are also looking forward to see what ministers he will choose that will help him build his legacy and that what he will be remembered for, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Millie.
All right, brilliant. That was Dr. Hoze Riruako giving us an analysis of the adjustments that were announced by the president earlier on, and also talking about the minimization of the ministries from the current 26 to 19.